We stepped into the back room together, and I swear the air changed the moment the door clicked shut behind us. The room was quiet, but it didn't feel empty. The curtains were still drawn, like someone had been living in the dark. I stared at the worn couch in the corner, the same place we had once sat too close, where his hand had brushed my knee, lingered, and refused to leave. I hadn't stopped thinking about that moment since. Ryan moved toward the small cabinet beneath the window. He knelt and pulled open the drawer I'd once locked. "This was forced open," he said, holding up the broken latch. Inside were old letters, receipts, maps of the lake, but all of that was familiar. It was the envelope tucked between the pages of a journal that made my stomach twist. I recognized the seal, Daniel's monogram, my ex-husband, Ryan's father. I didn't want to touch it, but I did. Inside were more photographs, grainy, black and white, clearly shot from a distance. I saw myself walking out of this house last summer. I saw Ryan's car in the driveway. I saw the two of us on the back deck laughing over wine. And then I saw the kiss. It wasn't scandalous. It wasn't vulgar. Just his lips brushing my forehead, my hand resting on his chest. But the way it was captured, like a secret being extracted from the shadows, made me feel naked, hunted. "Oh my God," I whispered. Ryan stood behind me, his breath warm against my neck. He had someone watching us. The knot in my throat thickened. "Why would your father do this?" "Because he always had to be in control," Ryan said. "He never forgave either of us." I sat on the edge of the couch, the photos trembling in my hand. He knew how close we were. Maybe he suspected even before we realized it. Ryan dropped down beside me, his thigh brushing mine. I think he wanted to make us pay. Not with rage, but with fear. With silence. The words settled into me like lead. Daniel had never been violent, but he was methodical, cold, and terrifying in his own quiet way. If he knew what happened that night, the night Ryan had whispered those forbidden words to me, then nothing was off the table. I remembered how it had felt. His hands on my waist, the heat between us, the way we danced slowly even though there was no music. The way his lips found my skin and made me forget what was wrong. We crossed a line and we knew it. "I think he's coming back," Ryan said, breaking through the memory. "What do you mean?" He stood and crossed to the window. 2 days ago, I found a cigarette still burning on the deck railing. Daniel smoked these exact ones. He never quit, no matter what the doctor said. I joined him at the window. The trees beyond swayed wildly in the wind, but the dock stood still. The lake, black and unmoving, reflected nothing. "Why now?" I asked. "Because we're both here again." I turned to him. "Then we can't stay." He looked at me, jaw tight. "Or we stay and finish this. I won't let him control my life again, and I won't let him scare you." I hesitated, then nodded. We spent the rest of the evening checking locks, turning on every light in the house, searching the woods near the back. Nothing. But that feeling, that sense of being watched, never left. It was well past midnight when we finally stopped searching. Exhausted, emotionally raw, we sat on the living room floor wrapped in an old quilt. Neither of us said a word. The silence between us was no longer uncomfortable. It was familiar. Ryan turned to me, brushing a loose strand of hair behind my ear. "You remember what you said to me that night?" I closed my eyes, leaning into his touch. "Don't." He smiled faintly. "You told me you felt safe with me. You said you hadn't felt that in years." I swallowed. "And then you left." "I didn't want to put you in danger." "You already had." His hand dropped, but I caught it before it could leave. "I missed you," I said. He leaned forward, and when our lips met again, it wasn't wild or desperate like before. It was slow, intentional, a quiet kind of confession. And when he pulled back just enough to whisper, "Touch me like you did last night," my heart broke all over again. Not because I regretted it, but because I didn't. The fire had gone out, but the warmth between us didn't fade. I rested my head on his chest, and for a little while we forgot about everything else. Until the sound of glass breaking shattered the calm. Ryan was on his feet in seconds. I followed close behind. The kitchen window had been smashed. A brick lay on the floor, wrapped in black tape. My fingers shook as I untied it. A note inside, written in thick red ink: "Leave, or I make it public." The whisper wasn't just a memory anymore. We were being hunted,